Comparisons with as. My students usually find this hard to learn. Well, maybe a miracle will happen and you will find it easy. Don't get discouraged. All you need to do is think of lots of examples of your own and keep practicing until you can say a sentence with as without breaking your brain. It will happen eventually. Equally good, terrible, etc. First, we'll talk about when two things are the same. In that case, I use and you use as. When two things are good, and they are good in the same way, you can say McDonald's is as good as Burger King. Or if you don't like junk food, you can say McDonald's is as terrible as Burger King. As means that some quality about the two things is the same. So I could also say McDonald's is equally good as Burger King. Equally means the same, is. And in the second example I can say McDonald's is equally terrible as Burger King. Got it? So now I can compare many things with as and say that something about them is the same. Here are some more examples. My room is as big as your room. Is the yellow dress as pretty as the blue dress? Green tea can be as strong as black tea. Using a laptop is as comfortable as using a computer. My boyfriend's food is as tasty as my mother's food. The brown of that sofa is as dull as mud. Are the summers in Kazakhstan as hot as in Greece? The prices in the new supermarket are as low as in the market. You can see from the examples that you can use this as thing a lot in everyday language. Where should you put as? The first as is before the adjective. Adjectives are words like good, terrible, etc. And the second as is after the adjective. So, as good as terrible as dark as small as, etc. Use of then. When you use as, you don't use then. So this is wrong. McDonald's is as good as then Burger King. So the then doesn't fit here. Or McDonald's is equally good then. That's not good. It should be is equally good as. Feel free to stop for a moment and think of your own examples. Try to compare restaurants in your area, or shops, or people, or movies, or whatever you like. Now we'll talk about things when things are not the same. Not as. You guessed it, when one thing is not as good as the other, or not as terrible, etc., you use not as. Let's say I'm a McDonald's fan. I used to be one. And I think they're way better than Burger King. So I can say Burger King is not as good as McDonald's. Or when I think the opposite and I think Burger King is better, then I have to change the order. So I'll say McDonald's is not as good as Burger King. This means that McDonald's is less good. I can also use terrible or any other adjective that I think is appropriate for this type of statement. So with terrible, I think Burger King is more terrible than McDonald's. So I say McDonald's is not as terrible as Burger King. This means that McDonald's is better, in my opinion. Or the opposite, I think McDonald's is more terrible than Burger King. So I say Burger King is not as terrible as McDonald's. This means that Burger King is better. Just hang in there, don't get confused. Here are some more examples. I'll try not to confuse you. The Alps are not as high as the Himalaya, but they're just as beautiful. The salad is not as fatty as the cheese. The movie is not as interesting as the book. My friend thought the party this year wasn't as good as the party last year. Try the spaghetti. It isn't as spicy as the curry. If you thought smoking isn't as bad for your smoking as drinking alcohol, you may be wrong. The moon doesn't look as full as the same as at the same time last night. She talked normally today. She wasn't as angry as I feared. And now for the bad news. You can also make sentences with as with adverbs, and with much and many, and a noun. That is really going to be too much for one lesson. With real students, I've never taught this in one lesson either, because it's not going to be effective. So we'll leave it for some other time. And now I recommend that you attempt this quiz. That's it. Thanks for listening.